Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. This is episode 52 of the Westmarch Workshop, A Goodbye for Leviathan. Yeah, the title itself is ominous, and, well, I don't really have too much of an opening. Unfortunately, some things happened, and Steven had to walk away from the show. It's not anything bad. It's not anything drama related. He just had a lot of stuff on his plate when it came to his personal life and real life, and he had to make some changes, and so that meant in order to better himself and better his life, he kind of had to step away from Diablo and things associated with it, just so that way he could better grow as a person. So even though I know it's the intro title there says Nine Ball and Leviathan, it's just me for right now. I hope everyone joins me in wishing Steven the best. We're still friends. I'm still going to be talking with him, even though he's not going to be doing the show together. But of course, I would like everyone to go through and wish him the best on this next step in his journey. And yeah, just good juju. Good vibes going out there. But yeah, so without further ado, we will go through and get the show itself started because the show must go on. This week we are joined by a special guest, Thunderclaww, who's one of the moderators over at R Diablo. But I'll let you talk about yourself. So let's go ahead and, what is it that you do? Who are you in the community, and why are you on my lawn?
All right, yeah, so my name's Thunderclaw. Yeah, I'm one of the mods for the Diablo subreddit. What is it that I do? That's a good question. Well, I don't know. Reddit's this huge community of, a huge collection of communities, right? I'm sure everyone's been on Reddit once or another time. And so me, along with a couple of other people, I know Menegeese was on the show a couple weeks back. We help moderate the subreddit, so removing spam, setting up different contests every once in a while, running weekly threads, and just being a part of the community.
Yeah. For those that might have never gone to the Diablo subreddit, there's a lot of really good information. Especially, we get emails and stuff from the community all the time asking about how do I reroll this item, or I just started playing hardcore, I just started playing the game, or I played classic, I didn't get Reaper, I heard about your show, I gave it a listen, and now I'm hooked. I'm going through and playing the game. The Diablo subreddit is an excellent source of information. Like some of the weekly threads that you have the help threads and the transmog threads that are really great for going through and just asking questions. You could even just go through and ask questions on the subreddit itself. The community is actually pretty good over there. You guys do a really nice job moderating.
Yeah, well, a lot of thanks goes out to the community. Like recently, we've seen a lot of just goodwill gestures from the community. Like some guy in the past week gave out a free Reaper of Souls collector's, or not Reaper of Souls, just Diablo 3 Vanilla collector's edition to the community, which is really cool.
Wow. I want to say that those things are up to $500 on eBay.
Yeah, there's something expensive.
Yeah, that is not a small token to just give away.
Yeah, the winner apparently is going to be going on a dinner date with the collector's edition, so keep your eyes peeled for that.
Nice. I will be looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
But there's one question that I have for you in particular. Why the two W's?
All right, so I'm a fan of reading, and there was a series that I read about cats. This was a long time ago. I think it was called Warriors. So that's where I got the name Thunderclaw with a single W. But then someone else took that. I was like, ugh, I want to have one single name everywhere. And so, kind of lazy, so since my finger's already on the W, might as well just type two of them.
Interesting. Interesting. That is very similar to how I got my tag. You know, most people were using 9-ball from Armored Core, so I just spelt it differently.
Mm-hmm.
So I can definitely sympathize from there. But yeah, continuing on, we've got our week in gaming. I will be honest with people. I unfortunately did not play much Diablo this week. I did put another hour into my monk. You know, I think it took maybe like 20, 30 minutes to get to 60, and then I put another hour, and I think I'm at like 67, 69 honor.
Almost there.
Yeah, almost there, but then my internet connection, it's kind of a problem in this particular area that I live in. If it rains, if it blows in the wrong direction, we'll have, connection issues. Gotta love that great broadband, but it
Comcast
started.
exec looks in the right,
Yeah,
in your direction.
Exactly. What's worse is there is no other alternative. The AT&T DSL in this area is 1.5, and that's it. That's all they offer.
Damn.
Yeah, it's bad. But so it started raining. I was in town, and then I didn't lose internet connection, but I saw all of a sudden got 2,000 ping and was just like, okay, all right, just saying something. So I will just log out here, and then just other stuff. Some of you might have known I was kind of in between jobs. I did just start a new job yesterday, and was just kind of going back and forth with that, as well as just generally looking for other jobs. Because even though you have you gotten all the way through the interview process, they can always go through and say no, we don't want you to. So until the paperwork is signed, it was just keep going through, and that was being kind of my primary focus.
Right.
Yep. But yeah, so even though I haven't been playing that much, I've still been keeping an eye on things that have been going on within the community, and we'll talk about some of that stuff and some little scrapings of news that we've got going on. But what about yourself? What have you been doing? I guess not so much this past week since you weren't on the show last week, but what have you been doing, in general recently?
Sure. So this, I guess, since I haven't been on at all, this season I'm running, Flavor of the Month Barbarian, Spin to Win. How else can you play?
Dead to me. I'm sure if Steven was here, he would be going through and giving internet high fives.
Yeah, I can high five the picture. Which way do I have to go? I think.
If you're this is one of those people that are in the stream right now or watching this on YouTube. You won't really see it if you're listening on iTunes or Stitcher, so I'll go and explain it to you. Unfortunately I did not manage to get the an editable version of the 2-person overlay in time with trying to get everything else together. Thank you though, Rob, for getting it to me. It's just my poor time management skills. So I'll have that for next week, but I had to just go fall back on the 3-person editable overlay, and so I had to keep Leviathan on there. So I just went and got the best thing for someone that is not going to be here. It is a Monty Python joke. So for anyone hopefully would get it, it is Sir not appearing in this film. Makes me sad. Anyways, you were saying? Sorry.
Oh yeah, so I've been running Barbarian. Haven't been able to play too much due to final exams. So I actually have been playing a lot more Diablo in the past couple of weeks. But the other thing that I've been spending a lot of time on is Heroes of the Storm, because that's just hit open beta almost 2 weeks ago, and is going in to release this upcoming week.
Yeah, June 2nd.
Mm-hmm. So, and in there, of course, I've been playing Barbarian as well. Sonya,
Okay, as much as I hark on Barbarians in Diablo, Sonya is one of my favorite heroes in Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah.
And I went through and I laid down the cash and got the Super Sonya skin.
Nice. I love the the visual effects that come off when she does her what is it? the whirlwind and the slam.
All of her skills, yeah, they just go through and it's just like chink, and you see like the little, Adam West Batman era like comic book thing pop up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. So, been a lot of heroes, a little bit of Diablo, just, just chilling.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting too hot for me, honestly.
Well, normally when someone complains about the weather, I invite them to Florida, but given that complaint, I'm not really sure. Well, I guess we have air conditioning here.
Yeah, there's some air conditioning here too, but it's, when you go outside, it's too hot, too humid, actually. That's probably the bigger issue.
Yeah.
But, I guess enough about the weather.
I unfortunately I cannot help you in any regards to that because that you just described Florida. Yeah. Though I don't know how hot it gets up there. Florida, we've got water on both sides, so it is going to be. It never really goes above like 95.
Mm-hmm.
I think what is it? It got to 97 degrees in West Palm like last week, and that broke some like 40-year temperature record for the month of May because it had never gotten that hot in May before.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, we broke the snow record in Boston this past winter. I was super happy.
Yeah.
I love the snow, so.
Yeah. And that is where we differ. I live in Florida for a reason.
Oh.
Yeah. For those just coming in and joining the stream, I see some more people going through and asking it. The title, unfortunately, is it is a goodbye for Leviathan. He's stepping away from the show. He had some real life stuff going on, and so he had to kind of reassess, the things that he had going on. So he had to kind of step away from Diablo and the show and other things, for a little bit in order to get things better organized, in order to better himself. So that's kind of the story going on there. But yeah, I guess with like I mentioned earlier, what we were saying, there's some little tiny things going on in the community. We have a few little nuggets of news.
Right.
I guess just recently they released some hot fixes.
Yeah, just a few. We have the fix for the Carnival bug. Right, the helm that the witch doctors wore. Apparently, the fetishes would just stop attacking. You're not running a witch doctor this season, are you?
No, not this season.
Okay, so I don't know. I mean, glad that it's fixed. Yay.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure there are many witch doctors out there that are going to be going and rejoicing about that one. But now, I know the bug itself was that they weren't going and always shooting the darts. Do you know how long that bug was in the game? Because that seems to be something that was just like recent. Was that like just introduced in 2.2?
I'd probably guess so. Because I definitely don't remember this issue happening a long time ago. Probably when they did the huge, file switch and maybe some pointers stopped pointing in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then the only other bug that was fixed with this recent patch was just the tornado spawned by a sand shaper and Saxtris. Oh God, I'm gonna be pronouncing all these names on my own. May the light help me.
I think you got it.
Yep. Once the tornadoes that they spawned, they were changing the little code that changed their behavior was broken, and they would be changing direction a lot more often than they should be. So they weren't moving because they were like changing directions like 5 times a second, so it was just kind of keeping them in the same general area. They weren't going to be going through and moving on or anything along those lines. So that's been fixed, so they are going back to their normal behavior where they will generally go and spawn and float around the room, and you hope that you're not fighting them in a hallway, otherwise you're going to be choked to death on whirlwinds.
Right. Not like the other way around where you choke the enemies to death with whirlwinds.
Yes, which you can do as a barbarian. You cheating bastards. But other than that, we don't really have a lot other big things happening within the community. There was just the fourth Play Your Way Thursday that was released today, the Stone Age Barbarian. You can go through and check out that post by Nevilistus on the main forum. And, next week, I believe we'll be having the vote, and then we'll be having a live stream after that. Mm-hmm. And so that makes me think we've heard very little about patch 2.3. Is this going to be the dam breaking? Are we going to get like our first big conversations about what's coming in patch 2.3 about I guess some of it's going to depend on which class ends up winning and who they're going to pair up, which developer or which tech or artist that they're going to pair up with the stream to see what they can and cannot talk about. But I think this is probably our first opportunity that we can go and hear some about patch 2.3 and what's coming in and what big changes they have planned. Is the Runes of Shesharon still going to be in there? What are your thoughts?
I don't know. They might just throw in Josh Mascara, because he can probably talk about anything. That'd be amazing.
That would actually be like really, really awesome if they got Josh to go and be on the Play Your Way stream.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know. They could put in one of the high, I don't know, the senior developers, because they could probably give a talk about anything. I don't know if it's just the perfect time for that, because kind of segue a little bit into the other big news this week is that Diablo 3 launched in China.
Mm-hmm. Because you said segue in your segue, I'll allow it.
Yeah, so I think a lot of the efforts of the Diablo team over the past couple weeks and maybe the next 1 or 2 weeks might be to make sure that the launch of the game in China is all stable, everything works, because China's a pretty big region, and they definitely don't want to mess it up. So I have a feeling we might be a little news barren for the next week or two still. But after that, then maybe the floodgates will open.
Yeah, I'm sure. I think that there was a couple of developers that were over there doing a press tour, leading up to its launch. I think they're all back now, so I guess we should hopefully be seeing some stuff sometime soon. Because we also we've mentioned a couple times on the show, E3 is doing their first ever PC conference to go alongside the console conversations.
Right.
And Blizzard is slated to go and talk during that conference. Now, we don't know what it is that they're going to talk about. We're assuming that it's going to be something in regards to Heroes and Overwatch. If they talk about Diablo, that'll be great. I don't know if they're going to spend the time during that, something as big as that to talk about, 2.3, like a content update. If anything, we'll hear something about like 6.2 for World of Warcraft, one of their bigger franchises. But I see them focusing this like really on their two big new games, Heroes and Overwatch, and the rest of the stuff is kind of going to wait till Gamescom and BlizzCon. Like, I don't know, do they actually have, besides the conference, do they actually have a presence at E3?
I haven't looked at the map floor. I'm not sure if it's been released yet. I'd imagine it's going to have to be Overwatch related, because we mentioned the Heroes of the Storm launches in just under a week, and I doubt they're going to be talking too much about that. And E3 for me, I don't know, I see it as a very console heavy crowd. So the fact they're doing PC gaming show is great, but that's the crowd that they want to push Overwatch onto.
Yeah, I wonder if this is going to be... Well, they're at I don't know. I just thought that maybe this will be the time that they announce Overwatch for consoles, but they'd be doing it during the PC conference, so that wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, that'd be a little awkward.
Yeah, that would be awkward. I believe it's that Blizzard, like, kind of... They didn't do E3 for a good number of years. I think it was either last year or the year before was, like, the first time that they actually had a presence at E3, and that was just for Diablo 3. That was it, and they didn't really have any developers or any of the community team. It was just some people from Activision with a couple people from the console team there to go and talk about it. But it's not something. It wasn't like Blizzard in full force there. It was just a Diablo booth for the console.
Right. Well, I mean, they have BlizzCon. Can you think of any other developer that has their own gaming convention?
I think there was a Minecraft convention.
Okay, yeah, you're right. So Minecraft.
Yeah.
But other than that, I can't think of any,
Yeah, I noticed that that's actually something that some developers are starting to do now, and a lot of like these Kickstarter projects that they're going through, and one of their like stretch goals or one of their long-term financing goals is to go through and do something akin to BlizzCon. Obviously not the same, not like the same like level. They're not going to have that same huge like going through and renting out the Anaheim Convention Center, have 25,000 people go there, but. I'm sure that there are a lot of people that are going through and trying to kind of like grab onto that type of hype engine, at least within promoting your own community and celebrating your community in that respect.
Yeah, that's true. I guess I still have difficulty imagining like what other developers have such dedicated fans. Like I know, like for example, Assassin's Creed. It sells so many games every time that there's a new release, but are there people that love Assassin's Creed and everything that Ubisoft puts out and would come in and cosplay as one of their players? I don't know, it'd be interesting, it'd be really cool, but I don't really imagine any other companies besides Blizzard putting on something like BlizzCon, and so they haven't really the need to go to these other conferences.
Yeah, it's true. When you get that much level of like just press coverage, and also when you're doing it like with your own thing, all of the news is focused around that. Just you. When you're at E3, you're competing for attention with every other AAA developer out there. Your announcement of a brand new game is going to get swallowed up by everyone else doing the same.
Yep.
And then you have to directly compete with I'm sure people will be rolling their eyes, but the likes of Call of Duty, Battlefield, stuff like that. I'm sure there's some people that will go through and play that in the chat, and some people that will go through and be like, oh, insert game title here is garbage, but they are like some of the biggest selling titles out there. They have a lot of weight and clout within the gaming community as a whole. So you kind of have to give them at least a little bit of respect in that sense. Whether they're actually good games or not, that's for you to decide. But I don't play a lot of shooters.
Yeah. I'm excited for Overwatch though.
Yeah, I will be interested. It's just the same thing when Heroes was coming out. I sat on the fence. It's like I want to say that I'm going to like this game because it's a Blizzard game, but I don't really like MOBAs. I tried League, I tried Han. I didn't do Dota, unfortunately, but it was just some of those is like I'll give it a try when it comes out, but you're gonna have to sell me because I don't really like this genre too much. And now I'm on a Heroes podcast, so that answers that question. So it's again, it's like I was super hyped for Destiny, and I really liked the story, but didn't have a lot that held me into it. So I haven't played that for some time. As far as shooters go, it did feel nice playing a shooter again after having not played one for a few years. So I'll see how Overwatch goes. I'm sure I will probably love it, but I'll still sit back just a little bit and think it's like I'll wait and actually see it before I say that I'm gonna love it or not.
Right.
I've just been kind of sitting on the back, kind of watching things. I haven't really been going and digging any information. I just realized that they've been doing all these videos for the different characters.
Yeah, it's been really fun just watching them. Seeing how different heroes like Tracer or Symmetra, how they all play, and how really good people play. Because you didn't get a chance to play. I've during BlizzCon because you weren't there, but you know, it was it was really fun. But I'm sure the developers are outclassing, you know, nearly everyone in terms of how to play, and they're really showing the different play styles and how heroes are supposed to be played,
Mm-hmm.
not just running around, you know, shooting everything in sight.
Yeah, because it's not going to be entirely like your standard capture the flag type match. These are going to be a lot of like heavily objective based games.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. But I guess kind of segueing again just a little bit there. Speaking of heroes, and we mentioned it before, the release is supposed to be coming next week. One of the things that we um, think is going to happen is we'll finally be getting Johanna, the Crusader, at launch, and I cannot wait. Do
Yeah,
you play a lot of heroes?
so yeah, I've been playing. That's probably been the most played game for me over the past couple of weeks because I have or past couple of months even, because I've got a group of friends that we would just, you know, just sit down and play. And you know, it's great because you can play with a team of 5, and I had exactly, you know, 4 friends that were interested in playing with me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we could, you know, voice chat, which is always fun. And so for me, you know, I play a lot of Sonya, the Barbarian, yeah, as I mentioned. Some Vala. Vala's great.
Mm-hmm.
And Jaina and Zagara. I
Oh, you
like.
lost me there.
No?
Non-Diablo heroes.
Dude, what other Diablo
I
heroes do I
have a
play?
reputation to keep up. Though, if I didn't only play Diablo heroes, I would say that,
Hypothetically,
hypothetically speaking, Zagara is an amazing hero.
yeah.
If I was more of a StarCraft player, I would even say I loved her.
You know, in a hypothetical
In a,
universe
in a hypothetical situation in which I
where,
played something other than a Diablo hero.
yeah,
Hmm.
what a world that would be.
What a world that would be indeed. Though I am really, really excited for Johanna. The skill set they went through and released, we talked about this, I think it was 2 or 3 episodes ago, like her skill set. But the one thing that I didn't know at the time is her trait. Everyone has a trait.
Hmm.
Most people, it's a passive ability that's just always active. A hero like Vala, she has hatred, and what that does is every time that she attacks, she gains a stack of hatred, and it increases her movement speed and her damage, by a small amount, 1%, and it stacks up to 10 times. So that way it gives her a little bit of a movement speed increase. It also gives her an actual damage increase as well.
Hmm.
Johanna's trait that she has is an actual activated ability. You have to use it. And what at the time it did was, I think it was at like level 1, it was an absorb that like doubled her health and made her unstoppable for 4 seconds. But what I've now learned is that that trait in the game files was bugged and registering as if she was level 19.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, so it's apparently her trait isn't as powerful as originally thought, and that it's only going to be like maybe 100. So it's going to be roughly somewhere around, I think it's like 10 to 30% of her total health. So the shield itself will still be big, just not as significant as we thought, and it still has a short cooldown. I think it was 20 or 30 seconds. But
Right.
it's still, with that combined with all of her stuns, slows, her blind effects, she is going to be an amazing support warrior. I guess, she's a warrior, not a support class, but she does have a lot of support options in order to try and buff up your team.
Yeah, definitely.
Hmm.
And you know, they're using the same, I believe, the same icons at least for now.
Hmm.
So if you play a Crusader, you're already one, step ahead of the game.
You know what all of her skills do,
Yeah.
pretty much. Yeah. Unfortunately, that kind of wraps it up as far as news. I remember a lot of times on the Diablo Inc. Gamers podcast, Flux would go on about the Diablo drought how leading through the development up to the release, we would go through like these 3 or 4 month periods where we wouldn't get any new information. They either probably is because they had scrapped and were working on a new build, or just for whatever reason we didn't get anything new. And people would all start going hysterical on the forums, on the interwebs would be lit ablaze. People would grab their pitchforks. And so he just kind of coined the term the Diablo drought. And this is one of those times I feel it's kind of interesting to pull that little quote from the reservoir, because it's kind of like what we've been going through lately since 2.2. There hasn't really been much, if anything at all, really.
There's one slight thing that was just actually posted earlier, a few hours ago, was that transmog. You can now transmog things even if you don't have Reaper of Souls.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah, so players, if you haven't, whatever, like the 2 people that haven't purchased Reaper of Souls yet, you can now transmog a little bit, because you can get like special like collector's edition perks and all that. That was moved all into the wardrobe interface.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you don't have Reaper of Souls but you have like the collector's edition wings, now that was like all bundled up together, and so now vanilla players can transmog, which is exciting.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. I want to say last episode, people going through and talking about, or it was the episode before that, just people talking about the cow event being open to people that did not have the expansion. It was like,
right.
Apparently there are quite a few people out there that don't have it, because these things keep on coming up.
Yeah, I mean, it's over on the subreddit. We see every couple of days someone asking, when's there going to be a sale for Reaper of Souls? And there's a sale every couple of weeks, whether it's on GameStop or Amazon and all that. And I'm still wondering, like, how much of the Diablo 3 population is still on vanilla or classic or chocolate, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I imagine there's probably a pretty good amount of people out there that just kind of got turned off because of the rocky start and such. They're slowly trickling back in when they hear all the good things from Reaper, but are probably hopping in and giving it a try before they go and plop down the money in order to grab the expansion. But yeah, we were just talking about it last episode. There was a sale at GameStop. There is on sale for $20. And I think that sale has since ended. But yeah, like you were mentioning, the sales go on all the time.
Yeah.
Other than that, I guess kind of moving on to some community stuff. There's 2 things I noticed on Twitter in this past week. We had Zhong Yang recently hit Paragon level 800, and so he is happy for the days that he no longer has to worry about changing around his Paragon points whenever he changes a build or wants to try out something new. Good for him. And then also, on that note, Jake just hit Paragon level 1000. I'm sure most of you will know who Jake is, a pretty prominent member within the community. We had him on an episode a couple months ago, where he's a special guest for us here. So, that was some pretty interesting things. So I want to know from you, the community, who's the highest person that listens to the show? If you listen and you think you have a shot, so please, if you're only Paragon 150, even I beat you, don't even bother. But I would really like to know, what are some of the people that listen to the show? What are your Paragon levels? Kind of get a feeling for what I guess is who's the lowercase hardcore and who's the more casual, just to try and go through and get a feel for it. If you want to go and kind of send us in an email with what your level is. I believe it's Westmarch Workshop at blizzpro.com. Go ahead and let us know what your Paragon level is, and we'll kind of take a little poll for next episode and see where everybody's at, and kind of get a feeling for the people that listen to the show, kind of gauge what it is. I see people going through, typing it in chat there. Maybe they're not getting to the point, but please send in an email. I'm not going to remember any of this. I have
Leviathan's probably going to send an email.
He better send an email. I'm going to make him send an email. Steven, what was your level before you quit? Just need to know. I am seeing some pretty impressive numbers in there already. We have a couple people which are just shy of 800 there. Very nice.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
Are we sure that Steven quit Diablo, or maybe he just decided, this was taking up too much of his Diablo 3 time and he was going to go back to grinding the Paragon point?
That's the secret now, isn't it? He didn't actually quit the show. He's working on a special secret build on a different account so he can get to first in leaderboards of every single class. Illuminati confirmed. And to do so, he got his dog to take him through the special Illuminati tunnel that leads to the secret penguin base on the moon.
It all makes sense.
Yeah.
Hashtag blame Archon.
Coming together. It is all coming together. Gonna miss that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and as you said in chat, hashtag blame Archon. So I want everyone to go on Twitter and on Facebook and blame Archon. So hashtag blame Archon for Leviathan leaving the show. There you go. That'll do it. Holy crap. Well, Bold Vision is 770 non-season and 703 in-season. I think you play this game a lot. That's a very high Paragon count there.
Yeah.
Oh.
But when you add those two together, it probably gets you just barely up to 800.
Yeah.
The way that the experience scales.
It starts hitting like a really high number of the amount of experience that you have to go through and grab there. Oh. Well, moving on. The one other thing that I kind of saw in the community is there was a poll on Reddit recently. I will link it here in the chat. That it just was trying to find the opinions of the community. What is it that you were looking for? What is it that you care about? And there were over 6,000 people that went through and voted on this in just the past couple days since it went through and posted. And obviously, with the way that Reddit works, it will drop off the front page, and then nobody, as soon as it hits the second page, nobody looks at it. Heck, if it hits the bottom half of the page, nobody looks at it.
Yeah.
But it just was going through and pulling, what is it that you want out of the game? And some of the options were a new expansion, a new class, more in-game content, things of that nature, just to try and get a pull of what it is that's on people's minds. And so you're the Reddit guy here. Do you want to go through and walk us through what happened in this little poll?
Sure. I mean, so there are 5 options here, although I think they may have even been able, you could have merged a couple, because I think we can. It's a safe assumption to make that a new expansion will come with a new class. So I don't know if we want to combine those two or not, but it looks like we're pretty close between a new expansion and more endgame content. Now, I think we have to consider that, if you're just even listening to this show, if you even go on Reddit to talk about Diablo, I think you're, part of an upper level, not an upper level, I don't know, like a group of people that are very dedicated to Diablo 3, right? So there is a little bit of bias here in terms of people wanting, quite a lot of people, around 31%, wanting more endgame content, when, many players of Diablo 3 probably haven't even finished the story or just finished the story once, and they were like, well, that's a good game, $40 well spent. But it looks like a lot of people are looking for a new expansion or more endgame content.
And then I also, like you were saying, some of the things that could be merged of those people that were probably expecting more in-game content in the new expansion.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really did come in close there. Sorry, I don't have a screen grab of the poll with which to put up there. Again, for those that weren't in the pre-show, kind of winging it tonight here with the overlay and everything. I do promise you I will improve. I won't say that things will be better, but I will improve. But yeah, it's we had about 2,400 people went through and voted for new expansion. The next one was over about 1,900 people voted for wanting more in-game content. I imagine that those people that voted for more in-game content are the ones that it's like, I want it to be patched in, and then I'll wait for an expansion later. I just want more things to do now without having to wait the time frame that it would take for them to push out an expansion. But
Right.
it is, it's just, I think we've discussed this every episode for probably the last 2 months, that we're all kind of expecting an expansion. It's something that you hear a lot of people going through, talking about, discussing. It's just what people want,
Yeah.
expect, need. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, an expansion breathes a lot of life back into the game. I mean, consider Diablo 3 Classic versus Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls. You know,
Hmm.
how much changed with just that patch 2.0 and the launch of Reaper of Souls.
Different
You know,
game.
it's you could barely compare the two at this point, except for the fact that they're named, Diablo 3.
Hmm.
So what would another expansion bring? A revamp to adventure mode, you know, um, more end game content, I guess
Hmm.
that would fit in. Definitely a new class. Can't
Hmm.
imagine there wouldn't be a new class. Uh,
Gots to be.
yeah,
Maybe even two. No, that's probably asking for too much.
two might be a little much. PvP? Question mark.
Whenever they come
No.
out with patch 1.1.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I think we might see. Well, we'll probably see patch 2.3 before we see another expansion because we've already been teased the Ruins of Sescheron and more
Hmm.
class sets.
Oh yeah, it's one of those ones that they've already talked about. Patch 2.3, referred to it as patch 2.3. We're getting a patch 2.3 before the expansion, so you can definitely Fouch. Last warning. Last warning. Not repeating what you're saying on stream, but you're on watch now, sir. Um, Nothing boils my blood like that name. Anyways, but yeah, we're definitely going to get patch 2.3. I think it's the question is 2.3 going to be the last major content patch before the next expansion? The way that things are kind of lining up, we should maybe get 2.3 around August. Um,
Yeah, I can imagine that.
right, right in time for Gamescom,
Hmm.
which is the previous expansion was announced at a Gamescom. We can kind of look forward to maybe seeing it. I believe that the with of course with Overwatch, it's to be expected, but they rented out a much larger area of the convention floor than they did at previous Gamescom for this year.
Hmm. Yeah, same
So.
thing happened at PAX East.
Mm-hmm.
For past 3 years. Every year the booths have gotten bigger. The first year is, just a little section for Hearthstone and Diablo on console, and then what was last year? I believe it was Hearthstone again, along with Heroes of
Mm-hmm.
the Storm, which was much bigger. And then this year, Overwatch was basically the main attraction, and
Yep.
they overflowed into the Twitch booth for some Heroes of the Storm. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'd imagine a lot of space.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of demo areas that they're going to go through and have set up. But yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see as we go and get closer to it. If Diablo is going to have anything of a big presence over there,
Hmm.
we'll, we'll I guess it's just one of those, if we see a Diablo booth, then we'll know expansion confirmed. If we don't, we'll have until BlizzCon, maybe? But I guess it would be really weird for them not to do an expansion at this point in time.
Yeah, yeah. I'm feeling it.
Mm-hmm. Feeling it.
Feeling
Getting the
it. Mind
vibes.
blown. Yeah.
I believe. I believe. Um, And one of the other things I noticed about that in particular thread of them wanting to go through and look at future content, as is always, it quickly turned into a discussion about the solo play versus group play.
And removing trials, of course.
And removing trials. It really seems that this solo versus group play that's like the new trials. The conversation about trials and the complaining of it is really, really dying down. But this is like the big thing that the community is going and talking about. I know you mentioned that you have kind of like a dedicated group for heroes. That makes sense because you can't play without a group of people.
Right.
But what about Diablo? What is your play experience like with Diablo? Do you normally play solo? Do you play with a group?
Depends on if I get the group. So, I have lots of people that play Diablo, especially during like the start of a season. But towards the middle and the second half of the season, things die down. People are no longer racing, to complete Greater Rift. Whatever, 62, I think now. So at that point, for me, it transitions from like a group play where, on the start of a season, we sit down, I think it's 12 a.m. Eastern, sit down with a group of people and, we start leveling. And then
What's going on,
nowadays
guys?
it's, if I want to do some public Rift clears on Torment 6, I'll do that. Or sometimes I just, want to run a couple rifts on my own. Or if someone, we need to power level someone or, level up some gems together, then that's always fun.
Yeah. I know I typically... lately, I've been playing more solo, but generally I like to play in groups. And I'll hang out when the clan raid call, and just to see if anyone's there hanging out or whatever, or see if anyone in the clan itself is like going through and doing, whether they're just like pushing some lower greater rifts like in the 30s or so, or if someone's just going and key farming or something along those lines. That's what I'll go through and kind of jump in on and have fun with them. But yeah, I can definitely see it's just people want more, I guess, parity between the group play and the solo play, so that way you don't go through. It's like right now, like you were mentioning, like I think it is 62 is the highest greater rift that's been cleared solo. But at the same time, groups have done 70.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of extra levels, on top of that you can go through and put on your gyms. Especially because it's like only demon hunters that have done 60 or 62. Everyone else is kind of like 60 or 60. So there's actually a lot of higher clears. I wouldn't say a lot of higher clears, that there are higher clears on seasonal than there are on normal, but those are just like a couple outliers, but the averages are a little bit lower across the board. I guess it's just for certain classes that have access to certain items. But yeah, it's interesting, what they might have planned for that with the revamp of Trials, the Greater Rift system, Adventure Mode. Are they going to nerf experience? Are they going to increase key drop rates for people that play solo? How are they going to handle leveling gyms? It's all things, because even if they take away, at this point, even if they take away the XP bonus, the gold bonus, somehow make parity between the key farming, you'll still have the greater rifts, and you'll still always be able to have higher level gyms by doing it in groups. And if they did all of that, would it make it worthwhile still to play in a group? Would people still do it?
I think it's safe to say that they're not going to go back to a system or a game where solo play is more effective than group play. That's not what Blizzard is aiming to do. They don't want to segregate everyone into their own little groups, because honestly, or for me at the very least, a lot of what drives me back to keep playing the game is the community. That's why one of my favorite features with Reaper of Souls was the clans and the communities, so that I could more easily, see what legendaries my friends found, or find groups or meet new people. And they definitely don't want to go back to the point where it's more efficient to play on your own because the monsters are easier, or because Unity lets you go to higher, greater rifts. So whatever it is that they're going to do, if they even decide to do anything, it's not going to be that drastic of a step backwards. In fact, I understand the arguments people have for wanting, solo and group play to be more or less even, but group play naturally is just going to be better because you have 4 people clearing versus 1 person clearing. And you can specialize, right? You have the 0 DPS builds popping up that could not exist in solo play that allow you to clear higher, greater rifts.
Yeah, and not just that. If everyone is just going like pure DPS and they're able to carry their own weight, the mob health increases only at 50% per additional player. So in a 4-player party, you're at a massive advantage compared to someone playing solo in terms of how quickly it takes in order to kill mobs. And then with the support builds that are able to then leverage that, it makes for a very interesting dynamic, but one where obviously with, highest clear being like a single person that's done, 62, and you have, I guess, well, it's only been one group so far that's managed it, but like a single group that's done 71, but multiple groups that have done 70, or even, and as you go down, like 69, 68, there's more and more and more people that have gone through and been able to clear it to make that much of a difference. Or like 62 is like phenomenal solo. 4-player groups are going through and doing that with ease.
Yeah. Then again, there are some benefits to solo play. One, well, you increase your blood shard cap when you clear rifts on your own. 2, for me personally, and I'm sure for a lot of people, the ability to pause is invaluable, right? Like, for example, someone rings the doorbell, in a group, I'd have to teleport back to town, or find a safe place first, teleport back to town, or in the in a greater rift, you can't really do that, or you set up your entire group for failure. But being able to just pause whenever is really good. And then you have the added usefulness of your follower. So I don't know. Maybe there's a little bit in terms of experience that they could do, but I don't know if drastic changes are needed.
Yeah, we'll have to go through and see, what changes that they make. You definitely will not see the development team nerfing it too hard. The group play is they still want group play to be more rewarding than solo play, so I'm sure we'll still continue to see some buffs or buff of some nature to group play, besides just the general advantage of being able to go to a higher difficulty and clear faster in a group than you can being solo. I guess it's just one of those ones to expect. We'll have to kind of see where it is that they take it from there. But yeah, as we are kind of in a drought of things to talk about, so that I guess we can go.
I've got something.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
So you're a lore guy.
Yes,
I'm a lore guy.
Yeah. I like where you're going with this.
So we were talking a little bit about expansions. What do you think the setting for, or like what character, what setting, what's the story going to be for the next expansion? Do you have some personal theories?
It's one of those ones that, I like to try and think of things like rationally and logically to kind of go and plan out. And just the talks that I've had and the things that I've heard from the developers and how they go and write the story, that it really could just come from left field and just out of, just like they would have and go through and conceptualize this idea, work on it for 3 years, and then scrap it a year and a half before launch and go somewhere completely different. It was just like that kind of shattered my mind in my way of thinking as to try and go and pull out what could they possibly have been thinking, because if you look at things in the game and try to extrapolate something from it, what's in the game now and the things that they've done mean absolutely nothing with what they're actually developing internally. So I've not really developed too much of a theory. I have some things that I'd like to see, and that is Ure. That is the one place I still would love to visit. Would love to see them build upon. So much history there, obviously from the Shadow Kingdom. It's a really, I love like the whole aesthetic of Kyrgyzstan. All we've seen of it really has been like Chaldeum and Kurost. And a lot of people don't even, if you're just going through Diablo 3, you don't even realize that Kuros is in Kyrgyzstan, and that's like I want to see more of that jungle type thing. I'd love to see the Flare jungle in full 3D in the art style of Diablo 3. That would be absolutely fantastic. I would love to see more of that. That type of area. Maybe even like the home of the necromancers. The cult of Rathma, and see them develop that area more. It's where the Crusaders have spent like the last 200 years. See what they've been up to, what they've been doing.
Right. Yeah, that would definitely be really cool. Exploring any of the homelands of any class, like the Scovos Isles for Amazon, and Jiangxi for what is it? Jiangxi?
Jiangxi.
Jiangxi for the wizards. Think that'd be really cool. But mind if I share my thoughts?
I'll put my tinfoil hat on. Let's go for it.
Yeah, poke some holes in what I think / hope will be the expansion next. All right. So, at the end of Reaper of Souls, we just defeated Malthael, right? Mm-hmm. And he embedded the Black Soul Stone within him, which had all 7 evils, Lords of Hell. And so they've I don't know, been dispersed into the world. They've been destroyed. I don't know. They're not formed right now. Mm-hmm. Right? So what is happening in the Burning Hells right now? It must be in complete disarray, right? All 7 Lords of Hell are missing. No one there to command them. Probably half their troops are also gone, but Burning Hells probably has endless amounts of demons, as I keep killing them apparently. Imperius, he's like, oh my god, this is the best time for the High Heavens to strike and eliminate the Burning Hells for all eternity. But as we know, the Nephilim are born of angels and demons. There's this balance between good and evil inside of us, and that allows us to become, stronger than, even Malthael, the angel of death. So we know that, destroying all of the Burning Hells forever would be disastrous, because then the High Heavens would rule and everything would stagnate, and nothing good will come of that. Also, Imperius is, kind of a jerk.
Hey now. Imperius is a great guy once you get to know him.
Yeah. Doesn't, Lord of Valor or Archangel of Valor. I guess he has some good parts to him. So I say that Imperius decides that it's the perfect time to eliminate all of the Burning Hells, and in come the Necromancers, who are all about this balance. And they want to maintain this balance between good and evil, High Heavens, Burning Hells. And so we end up protecting the Burning Hells from destruction by killing the High Heavens.
That would be interesting. I kind of like that. That's another type of theory, not that exact one, but that's the type of theory that I've heard, going around a lot, like the Nephilim going and stepping in and kind of becoming a third player in the eternal conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely something that I could see happening. It involves necromancers, so I love it.
It involves punching Imperius, which is my end goal.
I don't see. That's the thing. I don't know. I like Imperius. Um, yeah, that definitely has some interesting, connotations to it. That's another one of my theories. Is just kind of like taking a look at the development as a whole. I definitely agree with you that I think that we're going back to hell in some form.
Mm-hmm.
And just some of the comments, by the lead writer, make me think that the primeval is still kind of like locked away in the shards of the Black Soul Stone, so it might be one of those ones that they develop like a race against time. We might be like going and either trying to stop. That would be an interesting take, because imagine this scenario: we're trying to stop or hold off the forces of the high heavens from destroying all of hell, while someone else or the demons themselves are collecting the pieces of the Black Soul Stone to summon Diablo back into the world.
Helps resummon Diablo. That'd be great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. I didn't think of that, but I like that.
That's one interesting thing. That's one of the things that I guess just keeps coming into my head. Is just because Brian Kindergan said last year, they asked him, when Diablo was released, when the Black Soul Stone was shattered, yeah, was he released as Diablo the Prime Evil, or as the seven evils split? And his answer was, if Diablo was released, it would be as the primeval, making it seem as if they hadn't made that decision yet. And it would just be a very interesting story hook of just whatever it is that you're doing, there's this rush to collect the Black Soul Stone pieces. Who can be the first one to put enough together to either keep Diablo in that prison or release him? And wouldn't it be interesting, like, kind of like from your viewpoint, is that we're actually trying to get Diablo out of the Soul Stone, to fight back the high heavens, to keep them, because we need someone from overrunning. First it was the demons trying to overrun Sanctuary, and Tyrael helped us out. Then it was Malthael trying to overrun Sanctuary, and the high heavens wouldn't intervene. Hell was in disarray, and so we had to kind of like fight them back on our own, because it was all Malthael. What would happen if it's like the whole host of the high heavens came in, and there's not any one person. We can knock out Imperius, but then the rest of the angels are still going to be attacking. But if we have to go and elicit help from heaven, or not from heaven, from hell, in order to fight back heaven, or we have to go into hell to stop them. Or just one other thing, after like mentioning that I've watched a whole bunch of House of Cards, there's actually an eighth evil. He is the Lord of Corruption, and his name is Frank Underwood. That he is going to be the one that comes up and steps up and manages to beat back the high heavens. You heard it here first.
Blizzard going for the long payoff.
Yeah.
Mission an entire TV show.
Exactly. That show is so good.
Yeah.
Sorry for digressing there. I just had to go through and mention it. But yeah, it is some really interesting aspects of things that they could go back and do, and different aspects they can take.
If we end up having to resummon Diablo, we'll finally be be correctly accused of being devil worshippers, right?
Yeah.
Up until this point, we've just been killing him.
Yeah.
And now by resurrecting him, we finally meet the stereotype.
Damn it. Looks like all those religious fanatics trying to decry that Diablo was Satan's game would actually end up being right after all. At the end of days. And Fouch, yeah. If Diablo is summoned back into the world, we can just hashtag blame Archon. I like it. Yeah, definitely a lot of things that they can do. I wonder. There's some other things that I would like to see, like the what's the name of the city? Vizjun?
Oh, Visjun, yeah.
Yeah, the ancient Viserai capital.
Hmm.
Where they practice all of the most heinous of summoning rituals. That they brought in, an army of demons, that almost destroyed all of Sanctuary back during the Mage Clan Wars. Um, just I think that would be a very interesting place. It was mentioned briefly, I believe, in the Book of Tyrael, of how Zoltan Kuhl and Adria both went there.
Hmm.
Zoltan Kuhl to, I guess find some like demonic souls for the creation of the Black Soul Stone, just also to learn some of the ancient Viserai rituals and such, so that way he could be more knowledgeable when he went to create the Black Soul Stone. And Adria just kind of like following in his footsteps.
Hmm.
It seems like it's like, imagine a place that's haunted not just by, like hundreds of thousands of human souls, many of them given over and taken by the demons. But just imagine a place like 1 million demons that died there, that has their lingering essence. You know,
Hmm.
that would be a pretty interesting place. I think, just from a kind of like a lore standpoint to go.
Hmm. It'd also be nice to know the proper pronunciations of all these words.
Definitely, yeah. So many things that they throw out there is like, how do you pronounce that one? And I really need to ask that because I get things wrong, as we'll be coming up to our community feedback section here. People just love to have fun with it.
Hmm.
Um, Speaking of community feedback, you want to
Odd
hit
Childs, the
odd?
eighth lord of hell.
Yeah, nice. That would be a very interesting set. It could be an eight-piece set. Odd Child's Remnant. Anyways, going on, we can go through and hit up some community feedback here.
Sure.
I can go through and start off. I know I sent you a couple that you can go through and hit on.
Hmm.
Let's see. This first one actually comes from someone in stream here. I'm going to mispronounce it. Soyex. I hope I got that right. Otherwise known as Sebastian. Quick rant here. I have over 1,000 trial keys and 500 normal rift keys, but no greater rift keys. He has some 55s, but he can't do them solo, so he's stuck, just kind of sitting them in the bank. And basically, he has nothing to do in Reaper's Souls except waiting right now while he's sitting in patch 2.2, just going into Netflix mode and farming bounties. But he's just hoping that that this change will come soon enough so he never has to do it again. And then he went through and he did trials for 2 hours yesterday just so he would have some greater rift keys to go and do something besides farming bounties. And it's just he had to just like log off the computer and like just screw that. I'm not doing it anymore. And just burnt himself out just going through and doing it, and just how much he goes through it, and he hates the trial keys. And he just needed a vent.
Fast.
Yep, he just wanted to go through and let people know that even though he knows trials are going away, he still wants to express his distaste for them. So he definitely is looking forward to the time when they will go away.
Yeah, I think we all are.
Mm-hmm.
But a this a perfect transition. A viewer for the stream by the name of Kibby. I got an easy one. I'm gonna link this in the chat because it's super useful.
Mm-hmm.
He has come up with a more efficient way of doing the trial, the realm of trial runs, where a single trial key can get you 4 4 lower greater rifts. He's, for example, in his in his example, he's got 4 Greater Rift 31s and 16 Greater Rift 41s. So you get a total of 20 runs from a single trial run.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, this is cycling, using some pretty nifty tricks with cycling keys by hiding them in vendors and doing this in 4-player mode.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, you know, if you hate trials that much, as many of us do, you can get very efficient with it. And he's got a great spreadsheet here. He's got a video that you all should check out where, you know, he explains very clearly, you know, there's 4 people, first person, you know, runs a Greater Rift 30 with a Greater Rift 31 key, and everyone else runs with a higher level one, and then you downgrade, you hide them in a vendor, because that allows you to use a lower level key, and you cycle through all 4 players, and you end up with 20 runs. You know, it's it's not, you know, it's not the end goal here. This is definitely not how Blizzard, you know, wants you to be spending your time, just, you know, figuring out more efficient ways to do the Realm of Trials.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it's a fix for now, while the actual change is still to come.
Yeah, so basically, you know, what it is and what it kind of revolves around is you use like the one trial key to create some, you know, higher greater rift keys, or I think it is you start with like one higher, one lower, and you kind of go through and you cycle through the greater rifts. You do the lower level one, you clear it quickly, which then, you know, if you clear it in a certain amount of time, it will give you up to 10 levels, and it's something that's so low underneath it that you can do it quick, especially with a group. And then it will get everyone to upgrade their key to that next level. And so that way you can do it multiple times. You know, you have one person run, you know, like the Greater Rift, like 31 key. Everyone goes through and does it. You complete it, and then you have a set of 41 keys, and the next person goes through and opens up another 31, you know, and you just kind of like hopping. It's kind of like hopping around. It's one of those ones, I guess, it's for the people that are in chat. You can go through and see the key. I'll see if about putting the link to the thread in the video in the YouTube comments. If it's on iTunes, unfortunately, it's hard to kind of explain how to do this and what the method is of doing it. So
Yeah,
if you're listening
it's
on,
definitely, it's a little complicated. He's got a video. He's got beautiful spreadsheets. You know, you got to check it out. But once you understand it, it'll be definitely way more efficient.
yeah, it's just a more efficient way of using your one single key and getting more out of it by kind of like staggering your run. It does require a group of people with which to do it, so that way you can copy and replicate keys. It's not really an exploit because you're still having to, even though he says like one trial run would get you, you know, like the 4 greater rifts. And it is, you know, you're going to be using like multiple keys in order to go through and do it. If you're listening on iTunes or Stitcher, unfortunately, this is one of those scenarios where you kind of have to go through and check out the YouTube video, or even just the posting on blizzpro.com. I'll have links to the build there that you can go through and check out. And because this is one that it's something that I do definitely want to share. It's just a little bit difficult to explain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's laid out for even 3 and 2 player groups. So it's really cool.
Yeah. I'll do a quick one here. This one comes in from Jeff. He gave a little. Unfortunately, I just want to acknowledge this one. I unfortunately will not be singing this. He did a little Ogchild song for one of the potential openings, and it is beautiful. I'll have to find a way of going through and sharing that, because I have no musical talent, and unfortunately Leviathan isn't with us anymore. We wish to go through and sing it. But yeah.
We can just commission him to sing the intros.
Yeah, there we go. Yep. We could probably go through and do that in some way, shape, or form. Let's see. Let me pull up another one here. Or actually, I sent you one from the Kurojo.
Yep. So
Yeah,
I can
if you
take
want.
this one.
Yeah, if you want to go through and take that one.
So sure. So Kurojo sent in an email, basically saying that he plays a lot of Diablo 3, but on the console, which is I've played on the console quite a bit. It's a lot of fun. Have you played on the console?
A little bit. I've played a little bit on the console.
Right. So the systems are a little bit different in the sense that everyone can vault basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone can roll around, and from my gameplay time, it seems like that's all you do. You don't walk anymore. You just roll everywhere.
Sounds like playing Zelda.
Exactly. So he's had a lot of fun playing on the console with his kids. He's never played it on the PC, and that's because he doesn't have a PC or a laptop to play Diablo 3, and he's wondering, is it worth buying a PC mostly to try out Diablo and play Diablo 3 on the PC? Because there are some differences, right? There's seasons on Diablo 3. It's a different play style because now you're controlling it with a mouse and a keyboard. And so is it worth, spending the money in order to play Diablo 3 on PC?
Yeah, that one is, kind of a tricky question because you already have a lot of time, kind of devoted into the console version itself.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the biggest things are going to be you'd be giving up all the progress that you've made on the console version, but you'd be have more of the potential of playing with groups or getting into a community and just playing with more people if you get into the PC side of it. So that one will really come down, to what it is that you want to do. What is it that you're getting out of the game? There is nothing wrong with continuing to go through and play the console, but that definitely is more of a smaller social type of playing. Just going and playing with people that you know.
Right.
Obviously, you can go and try and reach out and find other people that play console, so that way you can play with people across that way. But the only real thing that you'll get out of the PC version is just having that easier access to community.
Right. It's also a little tougher to. He mentioned that he plays legitimately on the console because we know there are hacked items on the console version because of the offline play where you can have rings with 3 slots and 5 billion strength on a single item.
Yeah.
And so that's something that's absent on the PC version.
Yep.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, and it's just those system requirements aren't all that high. I might hold off, if we do get an expansion announcement, to maybe kind of go in with the new expansion to start over from scratch at that point, since it would be easier to do. Obviously, the price of computer components are always going down. The system requirements are always going up ever so slightly, though. So you might be in a better position, if you wait for when the next expansion, or when we get the system requirements for the next expansion. So maybe if you start putting money away to pick it up, if and when the expansion comes out potentially next year, for that. The requirements aren't going to be very high. You're not going to have to put a lot of money into the computer in order to go through and do it.
Yeah, that's one thing that's really cool about Blizzard games is that, you don't need the next gen graphics card and, driver updates in order to be able to play the game. You can probably play it. I see people mentioning that you can play it on a Microsoft Surface tablet, which is really cool, so you don't need. I think you can even play on an integrated graphics card.
Yeah. Mrs. and I. Excuse me. That's actually what she does. Because she plays on her laptop. it has the NVIDIA logo on it, but I mean it's a laptop. It's an integrated chip.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. It also definitely depends on your financial situation,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you can afford to throw down a couple $100, PC or a laptop comes with a lot of added usefulness. You know, in this day and age, I guess you don't need one with the advent of tablets and phones.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I personally I like having my desktop here, a keyboard right here. That's just going to be here.
Yeah, to each their own. But yeah, I mean, if you do decide to go through and do the PC version, I would wait. I know we're not really giving you the answer that you're looking for. You wanted us to make the decision, and we're just going through and kind of putting the ball back in your court. But yeah, I mean, if you do go the PC route, it's not going to be that expensive, and I would just wait for the next expansion to go through and come out. But there is absolutely nothing wrong with continuing to going through and playing on the console. I know one of the things that you were worried about was legitimacy. I mean, if you're not hacking, it's pretty obvious you're not hacking because you're not going to be walking around with 30,000 DPS Azure Wrath that has 8 sockets on it. So it's just one of those things.
Yep.
We had one last email here. Actually, sorry, not last email from. Let's see. This one comes from Ash Kickers. This one is a Ronald McDonald Happy Meal question. They sent in some pictures, or not pictures, they sent in some stats for some items that they want to kind of have a better idea of what it is that they're going to do. They have a couple of two-handed crossbows in Atreyu, and they want to know which one that they should use the Happy Meal on. I want to say, looking at the stats of those, if this is the only Ramaladnis that you have, probably hold on to it and continue to try and craft that Arcane Barb. It's just because looking at the ones that you've got, none of them have that great of discipline rolls on them for your Unhallowed Essence build. And, you're kind of having to decide, do I roll the 3 extra discipline, on this one that doesn't have that great of DPS in the first place. So yeah, you definitely want to stick to one of the two-handed crossbows as opposed to the regular bow until unless you find a calamity and can go, or not a calamity. What am I even talking about? Crider shot. So you can go with the elemental arrow build for Unhallowed Essence. But yeah, I would just kind of go through and craft Arcane Barbs at the moment because unfortunately the stats that you have on some of the other ones are just not that great. Not something that I would say is worth putting my sole Happy Meal onto. Well, once you get a backup Happy Meal, then by all means, then from looking at the stats on them, I probably would put it on. Out of those, the what is that? The Channon Bolter that you have, and for that, I would probably. That one I'd probably have to put into a spreadsheet to see which one because the stats are close. The damage is good. The damage percentage already rolled on it is only 8% as opposed to 10. I would probably spreadsheet that one. You can send in a question whenever you find a second one or if you craft a good Arcane Barb. Looking at your profile, you do have an Arcane Barb that rolled the 3,000% or 3,000 damage. That was a little bit lower on the actual damage rolled. And if you can find one that has decent damage or a good damage roll with max discipline, then you can always go through and reroll that one used Ronald McDonald there.
Yeah, I'm in an awkward situation myself where I have a Ramble Bramble gift, but nothing to spend it on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Waiting for either the perfect weapon or backup.
Yeah, I'm sitting on 6 Ronald McDonald's in my stash right now. I think
Wow.
I've had like 13 drop for me this season or something like that. It's been ridiculous.
Streamer buff confirmed.
Yeah, I'm not even streaming. I don't know. But let's see. Our last email that we have for feedback, he also had some items that we'll get to in a little bit. This one comes from Don't Kill Me. He also signs it as Ryan, and he pronunciates Ryan for me. Thank
Oh.
you. Is it that
Double
bad?
checking.
Am I that bad? Thank you. Thank you. You're one of the, it's like, I do appreciate it when you give the pronunciation for your name. I think I got that one. But you never know. You never know. Because I apparently got Jeff wrong. Uh, but yeah, he's been playing D3 since release. Never got into hardcore. But he always thought that it was kind of a waste of time and never wanted to do it just because you start over, you lose everything, and so he doesn't want to do that. But he's been listening to us for the past couple of months, and he's gotten really curious. When we talk about hardcore so much, we do get in your head. It's all a giant conspiracy. There is subliminal messaging that plays in the background of the podcast that forces you to roll hardcore. It is. I'm letting the secret out now that Leviathan isn't here anymore. But yeah, so there you go. He joined the Blizz Pro clan because of the hardcore community, and he's rolled his first hardcore character, made it to level 53, and then he did, what always goes through and happens as you're going and rolling along. You meet up just with the wrong combination of elite packs, and you kind of end your it kind of ends your experience there. So he says that he swore off hardcore after that, but the community managed to encourage him to shake it off and try again. He returned a few days later. That's where he got the name Don't Kill Me. And he now is level 70 in Paragon 35. So he actually made it through. You made it through on your second character. I will say that my first time playing hardcore, this was back in Classic, it took me 4 tries to get my monk to 60. Just so you know, there's nothing wrong with having to take multiple trips in order to get to 70.
Definitely.
Yep, he really enjoys playing it because it's brought back his fear of dying. Even though you don't lose a lot when you die in softcore, he still tries to avoid it because it is, especially when you're running a grift, multiple deaths can be a huge setback, especially if you're listening to last week's episode where we talked about just how much time it can take for your deaths to go through and take in. But now it's added a new level of challenge and just a renewed interest in the game itself. He did also throw in an item, which we'll get to in a little bit, but I'm glad that you gave it a second chance. And I'm going to be honest. That new level 70 that you got, that monk, is going to die.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just one thing. Accept it now, and it will make the loss, that much easier to stomach. Level up a backup. Whether it be another monk or just another class to go through and have some fun with. Especially when you're on that edge, and you like the adrenaline, you like the interest that hardcore gives, but that loss, that sting is still just really, really hits home. Having another 70 that you can just jump on and start playing will make it less, because you can just hop on that character, slip the game back to normal, so you can just kind of go back, or T1, wherever you're at, just below the level that you're at right now, just so you can kind of go into Netflix mode and let off some steam. Just go through, kill some stuff, just kind of get back into it, because you definitely don't want to do anything that I've done and lose 2 fully geared characters back to back, because that is no bueno. But yeah, so that was just my advice to you. in order to make hardcore a more enjoyable experience. And again, if you lose to level 70, if you manage to get yourself up, a much higher Paragon level, you're clearing Torment 6, you go through, you either have a bad elite roll or you do lag or something along those lines, and you lose your character, and then that's it. The reward for playing isn't worth the negative aspects of dying, and you swear off hardcore, and it's not for you. That's fine. That's perfectly okay. We all have to make our own decisions, because we're playing this game for fun. If you're not having fun, then kind of like what's the point of playing?
Exactly.
So there's never anything bad about trying hardcore and saying it's not for you and going back to softcore. More power to you if that's what you feel. Just talking about that, I'm sure Leviathan would go through and sympathize with that aspect as well, because he had to make a big decision and walk away from the game in its entirety, just in order to better himself. So it's always no shame in that. But speaking,
a good idea.
Yeah.
A good idea for a newly created hardcore character is level up that gem of ease, right? You're not going to be carrying it on you, but it'll make it that much easier to get back in the swing if you die, if and when.
I would actually say Gem of Ease should be the 4th legendary gem you level up, because you want to level up your other gems, whether it be like your Wildebeest Gizzard, Bane of the Trapped, or something along those lines. Level up the gems that will make leveling up your next 25 easier, and then worry about getting the Gem of Ease to 25. When playing, when you're going through and playing hardcore, that's just been my personal preference. Well, let's go ahead and get into our items of the week. Now let's see if this works. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Are we still here? All right. So our first one here, actually let me go to the beginning. Our first entry that we have in here is the shield, the Primo Morella, Prio Morella, sent in by Blue Right. This one is an Ancient Crusader shield that he wants to go through and show off. So pretty nice. This is the one that reduces the wrath cost of Shield Bash by 42%.
Probably running with that new Roland's build.
Yep, that was actually just what I was about to ask, because unfortunately I don't have a lot of experience with Crusaders. Normally I have someone else here on the show that handles the more brute force classes and comments on them here. I guess I am going to have to either find somebody else or have to expand my repertoire of class knowledge, I guess. I do so bad on Demon Hunters already. I feel sorry for y'all if I have to cover all of them.
I think we figured out Leviathan's plan. He quit so that you'd have to play Crusader.
Man,
then he's going to come back.
He could have just asked. I would have rolled.
Well, I don't know. I played Crusader last season, and so this was before the changed Rolands. But even not knowing too much about the current Crusader build, this looks beautiful. I mean, you're 2 points off of a perfect strength roll, 2 points off of a perfect vitality roll, perfect crit chance at 10%, and you've got resource cost reduction, which I believe is useful. Maybe not the most critical, but it allows you to shield bash more and more, right? And I believe the shield bash crits can go up to ridiculous numbers, like hundreds of millions at the higher level. And then you've got you've got maximum wrath as a secondary, which is great when you're constantly shield bashing, and reduce the cost of wrath. Reduce the wrath cost of shield bash by 42%, which is pretty handy.
Yep, and that rolls up to 50%, right? So it's like one of the only like roll lows. So I guess the reduces resource cost. 8% is the minimum, I think.
Might be 6 to 8. Not
Let me see.
entirely sure.
All right, yeah. I'm not. It's when you go on like the shields and the other off pieces. I know that it kind of like changes compared to what it is on the rings.
Hmm.
Um, Going through our next one is sent in here by Ryan, the person we were just talking about. This is his Ancient Heart Slaughter. He actually found this one during season 2, but he still wanted to go through and send it in. You know, it rolled beautifully. I know Heart Slaughter isn't something that you see, going through and taking like the presence in a lot of like top builds. But if you're missing that one item that is like the core component of your build, I think having this with that damage number, and especially if you're running a physical build, that would fill it nicely.
Oh, definitely. I mean, yeah, that's a perfect 30% increased damage for
Hmm.
physical skills, right? That's huge.
Yeah, it rolled a perfect 10% damage. It's only 40 something shy of max dex, and I believe the max damage on a two-hander is like 22 something. So it's less than like 100 damage off max.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a really nice one. You know,
Yeah.
this is, I think, the type of items that the developers want, where you're like, okay, I'm gonna choose my skills around my items, right?
Mm-hmm.
It might not be, the furnace that'll let me build, the top builds out right now, but the fact that I have, this beautifully rolled Heart Slaughter with that physical skills bonus damage, maybe I'll choose some physical skills, some physical runes.
Mm-hmm. Next one here, we have this entry in by Silver Knight. This is actually his is like a double submission, and he has both of them here. He found two corrupted Ashbringers, which that he wanted to go and share with us, and they just rolled beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
We've got um, the damage values. The lower damage one is the first one that he found. So then the second one that he got rolled even better, even though the numbers are inflated because of attack speed.
And
Uh,
because of the gem.
well, the gem is crit. I'm talking about the actual DPS value.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so obviously that's one Ronald McDonald's away from going through and being an even better item there. But
Mm-hmm.
as you can see, it's the just the base damage rolled much better on the second one. So even though the numbers are inflated because of the attack speed, once you get a Happy Meal in that thing, it is going to be really nice. Unfortunately, between the two of them, the secondary affix, and this is kind of like where it's going to come into question, the secondary affix rolled much lower. I think this is the highest damage percentage we've seen on the show
Mm-hmm.
from any of the corrupted Ashbringers that have gotten sent in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it rolls between 5,000 and 6,000.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one, it's near the top with 5,700,
Mm-hmm.
but second one is it's basically 5,000.
Yeah. I don't think it will really matter too much because the Corrupted Ashbringer just isn't an item that's going to be carrying you, when you're pushing the ceiling on what Greater Rift you can clear, just because it's based on how quickly you can kill enemies. And, when you're pushing your Greater Rift limit, you're racing the clock, which means you're not killing enemies as fast as you possibly can, so you're not getting a lot out of the proc. I would almost say that the 4100 DPS one might be better because you're doing for like farming Torment 6, something along those lines, where that proc is going to be up more. I guess I would have to kind of go through and figure out is the difference in the base damage on the weapon less than the difference in the proc value and how long you're going to go and have it up. That would be something interesting that I'd like to see you go through and check out. Do some Torment 6 runs. Which one allows you to clear faster? Is it even going to make that much of a difference? With the rest of your character, or is he going to be having 2-minute clears and 1 minute 50-second clears, depending upon how fast you can go through? But still, beautiful, beautiful weapon. I would love to see this being able to use in like an in-game. It's just unfortunately, since it's one of those ones you have to build up through killing enemies, it's not quite there. Great for farming, absolutely great for farming though.
Yep.
Coming in, we've got an Ancestor's Grace. This one is sent in, by our lovely, lovely trickster, always here in chat with us. Ever since the beginning, Mikey. Is always active in he's not in the clan, but in the community, and also you'll usually find him on raid call almost any given evening. This one definitely is for our hardcore players. This is the hardcore only item. We were just talking about it, I think last episode or the episode before that. Just this can only drop on hardcore, but when you die, this will bring you back to life. And you are a ballsy man putting a level 54 Bane of the Trapped in that item.
Ooh, wait, would that be destroyed?
I don't know. I don't know if you lose the gem. That's something that I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question. I remember back in the day, like a couple months back, or even probably in 2014, someone trying out like what triggers first, this or the Firebird's death, or this and the cheat death passive, and I'm pretty sure Ancestor's Grace triggers last. Right, so if you die and you have the Firebird set, it's not like it's the end and your item gets destroyed. It's like the final thing that gets saved. But I don't know about the gems. I don't think legendary gems were around then. Yeah,
I don't know if it functions as a salvage, then it would get put back into your inventory. And well, if you die after it procs, then you'd still lose it. I'm not sure. Yeah, this is something that any hardcore wizard can go through and tell you. A big heal with no invulnerability isn't as much of a cheat death as you think it is.
Right.
This one doesn't push anything back away from you, doesn't stun anything, doesn't give you a shield, it just takes you back to full health. And if you died in hardcore, it probably was not slow, it was quick. Whatever killed you quickly is going to kill you quickly again.
I don't know. Sometimes, you might be walled into the wrong place and you just need a couple more seconds until you get something like, Akarat's champion.
Yeah.
So, who knows? It might just be the thing that saves you.
Could be. It could be. I'm gonna have to go and research that one a little bit more and see if I can find an answer to that. If the legendary gem gets eaten up with the item. It's next on here. This one is from Vithrilis. Actually, I hope I pronounced that right because I didn't have any problems pronouncing that name. And this one is a Hellfire amulet that went through and got sent in. Zoom in a little bit here so you get a better view of it on the stream. This one is just a beautiful Hellfire amulet. It already rolled crit damage and max fire skill damage. I imagine it probably had a main stat that got re-rolled into a socket, so you can use it for pretty much anyone. It's got the ballistics passive, which is a great passive. You're using the Stone of Vengeance there, so this is probably being used for, I would imagine, gnats. Although it wouldn't be that bad either for Unhallowed Essence. Both of those have a lot of rockets going on. That increases the amount of rocket damage that you do, and just is going to be shooting out a ton of other little rockets. It's a nice added DPS bonus, since most builds nowadays revolve around the rockets. Yep.
Yeah, definitely a really nice one. I wonder how many runs it took to get that.
Yeah,
you can get super lucky and get it on your first try, or you can be super unlucky and spend weeks, months even trying to find a good one.
Yeah, and the best thing is because of the way that rolled, and it's not like Dex or Strength, since you took that off in favor of the other bonus stats, it can really be used as anybody because this is still an awesome amulet. It's a nice backup for any class that you go through and roll if you don't have something like a Mara's or something else to give someone. It's just a high damage amulet you could give to anybody. They won't gain the effects of the ballistics passive, obviously, if they're not a demon hunter, but it still is just a nice amulet all around to give to anybody that you want to level up or just play around with.
Yep.
Coming up, we've got another amulet here. This one is for a barbarian, and this one is coming in from Andy. He actually sent in a couple of items this week. This first one here is the Hellfire Amulet. It rolled very high strength, near perfect strength, and rolled a perfect crit chance, and he's been re-rolling the crit damage on it in order to get it up there. It gains Nerves of Steel. It has a Taiguk in there, which obviously is kind of like the de facto gem for spend to win barbarians.
Yep.
And so you've been playing a barbarian. Tell me, where does Nerves of Steel work into this?
Well, I think an important question is this a hardcore or a softcore barbarian? Because
he does play hardcore.
Oh, he plays hardcore?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then this is beautiful, right? Nerves of Steel is the cheat death passive, right? It was changed, I believe, in the past patch, where it's or in the past they used to give you bonus armor, but now it's the cheat death passive. So it reduces you, or it keeps you at 15% life, and you take 95% reduced damage and are immune to all control impairing effects. So if you're playing hardcore, now you're basically able to play as a softcore player in the sense that you have all 4 passive slots open to you, right? You don't have to dedicate one to that cheat death passive.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely a great amulet. Just need that 4 extra crit damage percent.
Yep, keep you rolling. Spin those millions.
Well, you don't need money for amulets. You just
amulets
need gems.
is just gems. So spend those millions crafting Imperials. I never have any drop.
Didn't the devs mention quite a while back that they were gonna use the gems that were one above Imperials for something?
I don't know. Yeah, well, because they've been talking for a very long time about wanting to go and do something else for gems.
Mm-hmm.
So
right, because I remember re-rolling used to involve the tier right above.
Yeah, it used
Imperial.
to be Flawless Imperial.
Right, you needed Flawless Imperial, and so a lot of people just rolled all of their gems into Flawless Imperials, and then Blizzard lowered it to regular Imperials, and you can't downgrade. So I believe they mentioned something about that, but I don't think we've heard anything since.
Yeah, when I lost both of my Demon Hunters, before my second Demon Hunter died, I went through and crafted a whole bunch of Royals. So I started back over with 7 Emeralds, in my stash.
Wow.
And I've still have been going through and building it up. But I think I've had maybe 3 Imperials drop the entire time that I've been playing again. Obviously I've not been expecting them while I've been leveling the monk. But since then, all the greater rifts, all of the T6 rifts, all of the bounties and the cow farms and everything else that I've played since then, I found 3 Imperials. At least the only ones that I've been paying attention to have been the Emeralds. So, yeah. I don't believe that they actually drop in the game, even though I said that I found 3. And of course, it wouldn't be Items of the Week without having an Ancient Furnace.
Of course.
I mean, it speaks for itself. He's not re-rolled anything on this yet, which, since he's playing a barbarian, that's not unexpected, since the Immortal King's Boulder Breaker has kind of been, that's the new hotness for barbarians. Furnace is kind of sitting on the wayside nowadays.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, barbarians, or you can go with the what apparently are called now Burger King swords, or the Bolcathos. the BK swords.
Yep.
You can use those for speed farming T6, and the Boulder Breaker is great because it allows you to hit that four, what is it, 4-piece set on the IK set, along with the 6-piece from Wrath of the Wastes, which is very useful.
Yep.
Well, I mean, isn't that what Blizzard wanted, right? They didn't want one item to be the be-all, end-all for all classes.
It is true. It is true. They did not want everything that wasn't a demon hunter using the furnace.
Mm-hmm.
More or less. They wanted diversity, and they've got it. They've got it. It's nice. You have an ancient furnace. You send it in. We will show it on the show until we get to a week when no one sends us an ancient furnace, and we'll stop showing them because then nobody cares. Now it's part of the show.
Yeah.
And then our final item from Andy, not the final item for the show, is an Eye of Etlich, which this is we were talking before. Those few key amulets. This one is huge because of the range damage reduction, since so many monster affixes are considered ranged. That this is just a good catch-all defensive gem. Beautiful for playing hardcore, though what can I say when you had that beautiful Hellfire amulet? This is your backup.
Man, if this is your backup, you're set.
I mean, seriously. This one is cold as opposed to fire. I don't know how much that works out for barbarians.
I don't believe cold is super popular right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you find an amulet like this, you might as well switch over.
Yeah.
But, still a great thing here, and also you can switch it over to any class, basically, right?
Yeah,
so,
that is true. He could go through and give this really to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't believe even the Eye of Etlich even rolls with a main stat, so it's very possible that he had something else and he re-rolled it into crit hit damage, and now can use it on anything that is using cold skills.
And then Namek went through. We got another ancient furnace here to go through and show off.
Gotta space him out.
Yeah, we have to go through. He plays a monk. He wants to know if you'd get any benefit out of this one. I mean, it's definitely not bad if it's the only ancient weapon that you have.
It looks like the damage here is a little low.
Yeah, I mean, would you compare this to something like a non-ancient Ingion? Or or even a what is it? An incense torch, even though that's not like the top build right now is Sun Wukong's is still an incredibly powerful build depending upon how far you've progressed.
Right. Well, it's definitely a very solid weapon. The furnace, I think, always will be, simply because of that increased damage against elites. Depending on what build you're running, Ingium just might be better, right? And also depends on what you're trying to do. Speed farming, I think Ingium is way better, right? Because you can just basically teleport around everywhere with the dashing strike.
Yeah, and you're going to be killing most things with just that single dashing strike, so it gets you distance, gets you clear speed.
Exactly. Whereas the furnace seems more of a kind of a greater rift build, or a greater rift item where you're going for the slightly slower but more damage output.
But as always, if you send us an ancient furnace, like I said, we'll put it on the stream.
Of course.
Yep. And then our final item for tonight, this one comes in from Zadok. This is 2-star metal kukris.
2.
Yep. He found his first one, the non-ancient one, he found at about 450 Paragon levels. And then now he's at 550 and he found the ancient one. Wow. So he is praising RNGesus for his massive luck that he's had going through and finding these. I know when I was playing my Witch Doctor, I would have killed for one of those. I did kill. I killed many thousands of things to go through and try and get one, but I was not that lucky. But yeah, it is a thing of beauty. You know, the damage at least is pretty decent. Average intelligence roll. I believe the crit hit damage can roll up to 35%. And I mean, but the reason why you're using a Star Metal Kukri is because of the effect. You know, the damage that you get is just kind of like icing on the cake, but you know, that unlocks so much potential in so many builds. Just, you know, removing the cooldown from Fetish Army.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of 0 DPS Witch Doctors roll the Star Metal Kukri, and I think some of them just like even roll off the damage for something like reduced cooldown or extra vitality, right? Because you're not using that for the damage, you're using that for the incredibly powerful effects that's been around for quite a while.
Yeah, you know, just like I've run with a couple Witch Doctors that have had Star Metals, and you know, you go through, you hit an elite pack, you kill it in 10 seconds, and in that 10-second period, your Witch Doctor has dropped 2 Big Bad Voodoos.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. It is really crazy. But yeah. So thank you, everyone, for your feedback and your items. We always appreciate you going through and sending stuff into us. Absolutely love it. So please continue to go through and send in your items. If you ever want to go through and share your thoughts or your feelings, it's Westmarch Workshop at blizzpro.com. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions about Leviathan's departure. You know, what he's going to be doing next and what the future of the show itself is going to be. As you can see, we're streaming on Steven's channel here tonight. That likely will not be the case for next week. For now, I want to say for the future of the show, keep an eye on the official BlizzPro channel. So that's going to be twitch.tv/BlizzPro, and then on YouTube you can just do a search for BlizzPro, and you can find us there.
Probably keep an eye on the Twitters as well.
Yeah, definitely. Follow the official Twitter. The WM Workshop, or at the WM Workshop on Twitter. Obviously, you can follow me at 9ballgamer if you want for updates about the show. It kind of hit us all hard. Both Thunder, you're good friends with Steven. I've known him for forever, as well as just kind of the rest of us over at the BlizzPro family going through and having to part ways with a good friend of ours. But he's going to be doing good. He's got a good head on his shoulders, and he's doing what is best for him. So I definitely, again, would ask everyone to go through and wish him luck, on the new path that he's taking, and the road that he's decided to go on. But yeah, keep tuned to BlizzPro and keep tuned to Twitter. Obviously, nothing's going to change on iTunes or Stitcher. There will be a show next week, even if it's just myself. But obviously, 2 voices is going to be better than having 1. So I would almost say if you're interested in potentially being a co-host, I already have a couple people in mind that I'll go through and be approaching. But if you'd like to throw your name in the hat, as if this is something that you'd like to do, obviously if you're listening to this, you probably are familiar. It's going to have to be Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern or 6 p.m. Pacific. But just, shoot me an email, the Westmarch Workshop at blizzpro.com, or 9ball at blizzpro.com, and, we can go through and talk and see what we want to do and see who we can pull as another co-host for the show.
Get Archon back.
Get Archon back. But it was his fault in the beginning.
Ooh, that's right.
Yeah. Do you have any parting words? Any last things that you'd like to say?
Thanks for having me. Finally.
Yeah, finally. For those that don't know, a couple months ago we tried to have Thunderclaw on the show here, and Steven got sick, so he couldn't make it. And I didn't have anything at all to go through and set up the show, and so we decided to postpone it and put it off, for the next day. But then that ended up not working out because of other plans and conflicts and such, and we ended up not doing a show that week and having to move to next week. But then, you had to go back to school. This was like during a break. So this was actually the second time that we tried to go through and have him on the show. We were going to do the show yesterday, but then, well, obviously things happened. But it's not you. It's not you. It's me.
He might be Leviathan. I mean, he was sick before
Well,
PAX East
Yeah.
and missing for BlizzCon, so Leviathan,
And
coming for you.
And at the end of it, we all know the true answer. #blame Archon. But yeah, well, thank you all for joining us here, episode 52. A goodbye for Leviathan. I wish he could have been here to be a send-off, but this is the way that he wanted to do it. So, yeah, there we go. Goodbye, everybody. I will be back. I'll be back.